Welcome to Curtis Goes Corner, coming to you from a secret underground base in occupied America. Welcome back. Well, the progressives are running around like their hair's on fire. We can't go after Donald Trump because of the Supreme Court. It's a rigged court. He put 3 of them on there. I'll tell you what. In Trump's first term, and I use that term on purpose, he appointed 3 of them. Now, Clarence Thomas and Alito are probably up for retirement. I believe they're mid-70s each. And if Trump wins again, he'll put 2 really, really good constitutional justices on there. I hate like hell to see Alito go, but especially Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas is the shining example of what the founders thought the court should be. Yeah. Even Chief Justice Roberts chided the liberal justices for fear-mongering. Of course they did. Let's read on. This is a hell of a week. Between the so-called debate and several Supreme Court rulings, I don't always agree with them. I don't agree on the rule and the censorship and social media, but I'll let that go. In their dissents from the Supreme Court's decision on presidential immunity, the court's liberal justices suggested that the majority opinion allows for a slew of alarming scenarios, including a president ordering a Navy SEAL team to assassinate his political rival or even poisoning one of his cabinet members. That's not what they said. These people are morons. Frankly, I think they did this just to be grifters. They actually believe this. That's how stupid they are. The High Court on Monday ruled 6-3 that the president has substantial immunity for official acts that occurred during his time in office. You have to understand something. They think this is about Donald Trump. It's not. The Supreme Court, in a lot of ways, just saved the presidency. If you follow what the Supreme Court said, or they want, I should say, the people that dissented on the Supreme Court, then Barack Obama can come up for a murder trial, at least manslaughter for killing that American citizen with a drone. They were after his father, killed a bunch of other people. But the American citizen, in my understanding, one of Obama's aides at the time, when asked about it, said, well, the kid should have picked a better father, and laughed it off. You're opening up a can of worms that will destroy the entire executive branch. This isn't about Donald Trump. This is about the future of the executive branch in a republic. You're willing to burn the building down with you standing in it. It's a decision that has significant implications for former Trump. Yeah, that's what that's all they care about. They don't care about the future. They don't care about if they can bring charges now against Obama or anybody else. They can just do it now. Well, no. You got to have some immunity as president or you won't be able to do your job. Here's the mechanism. They say what they say, assassinate a political rival by the SEAL team that President Trump ordered. Well, he gets impeached right away and then found guilty right away, removed from office, and then he stands criminal trial. They didn't say everything a president does as president has immunity. All those drone strikes, in fact, there was way more drones dropped and bombs dropped during Obama's first 4 years than Trump's 4 years. It's just a statement of fact. Are all those going to be war crimes now? It's insanely stupid because all they have is Trump derangement syndrome and they can't get rid of it. And I wish there was a cure, frankly. But we'll have to see. Although the majority opinion from Chief Justice Roberts explicitly stated the president is not above the law. They keep saying that no one's above the law. No one's above the law. Yes, they are. You ever hear of immunity from police officers? All kinds of people are above the law. That means every single military leader that's ordered a military action where their enemy, one at least or more, have died, can come up on war crimes. You are above the law, depending on the circumstance. It's insane. is not above the law, and immunity is only a factor when it involves an official act. The justices sent the case back to lower courts to determine if the acts at the center of Trump's case were official. The ruling raised a series of frightening possibilities, according to the trio of dissenting justices. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, Ketanji Jackson Brown, and Elena Kagan wrote in the primary dissent that the court's majority opinion makes a mockery of the principle, foundation, or Constitution and system of government that no man is above the law. They can twist this around anything they want to, but the thing is, though, they're sounding like teenage girls writing out a high school essay. It's insane. These are Supreme Court justices. College, law school, years and years as judges, the vast majority of them. I don't understand their teenage-like responses. It's insane. Sotomayor wrote, orders from Team SEAL 6 to assassinate a political rival, immune. Organizes a military coup to hold on to power, immune. Takes a bribe in exchange for a pardon, immune. That sounds like a teenage girl. It's insane. It's insane. Trump derangement syndrome was at every level of government, apparently. Let the president violate the law. Let him exploit the trappings of his office for personal gain. Boy, they got some serious... They got a nerve on them I'm glad my tooth doesn't have. Just Biden alone. Obama is worth way a lot more money, a non-president than president. The same with the Clintons. Use it for personal gain. You got a serious set on here. Let them use power for evil ends. Well, there's some people that believe the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were evil. I happen to think that saved lives in the end, but that's a decision that was made. Well, you're going to put Harry Truman on trial posthumously? Oh, okay. Because if he knew that the may one day face liability for breaking the law, which means the president would do nothing. Nothing. And even if he did nothing, they would accuse him and bring him up on charges for doing nothing. He might not be as bold and fearless as we like him to be, but that's the majority's message today. Bold wouldn't be as bold and as fearless. What do they want, a pussy for a president? They got one. Sotomayor added that the majority decision has shifted irrevocably the relationship between the president and the American people. This is insane. Is now a king above the law. You are so full of crap. Yet another startling scenario is included in a footnote from a separate dissent authored by Jackson. That's the newest member of the Supreme Court. Noting that the president's removal of a cabinet member would constitute an official act, Jackson says, while the president may have the authority to decide to remove the attorney general, for example, the question here is whether the president has the option to remove the attorney general by, say, poisoning him to death. These are Supreme Court justices. They're not some teenage girls or first-year college students. So they say it's okay to poison. This is insane. All they're trying to do is fear-monger. I don't normally side with Justice Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts as a rule, but he's right. It's fear-mongering. Put another way, the issue is not whether the president has exclusive removal power, but whether a generally applicable criminal law prohibiting murder can restrict how the president exercises authority. If a sitting president kills someone, he is impeached. He's found guilty in the Senate. He's removed from office, and he or she goes to criminal trial outside the government. It's as simple as that. Put another way, the issue is not whether the president has exclusive removal power. Sotomayor's conclusion summed up the prevailing tenor of her and Jackson's writings. With fear from our democracy, I dissent. Insane. Absolutely insane. As for dissents, they struck a tone of chilling doom that is wholly disproportionate to what the court actually does today. That's being kind. Coming up short on reasoning, the dissents repeatedly level variations of accusation that the court has rendered the president above the law. Yeah, coming up short on reasoning. When was the last time, I don't know about my lifetime, that its Chief Justice of the Supreme Court has said to the people that have dissented on a ruling, they come up short on reasoning. And Roberts is as milquetoast as they come. Any of the dissents come up short on reasoning, Roberts wrote. The positions in the end boiled down to ignoring the Constitution's separation of powers. Exactly right. And the court's precedent, and instead fear-mongering on the basis of extreme hypotheticals about a future where the president feels in power to violate criminal law. Exactly right. Now let's listen to one of my personal favorites, Joy Reid from MSNBC. Was I too subtle in the sarcasm? Let's see what this lunatic has to say.
Hey, Chris. Yeah, it was something to read today, both the decision and the dissent. And I guess the sort of best way for me to kind of sum it up is, I don't know if everyone here watches Game of Thrones. But if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you will note that in Westeros there is a king, and then there is the hand of the king. And when the king is very young or very...
They pay this woman millions of dollars. I wouldn't hire her for local news. Let's listen on Game of Thrones. Holy crap, you got to be kidding me.
Very old or very mad. The hand of the king is effectively the king. And what I think you saw in this ruling today was the Supreme Court declare their preferred president, of course, because they know no Democrat would exercise these powers in the way they would very much like their next president to.
They wouldn't exercise these powers. Biden's DOJ is going after his political rival. I mean, what's that deflection? This is deflection at a world-class level. You have to be kidding me. And second of all, this isn't about Donald Trump, you moron. This is about the presidency now and in the future. Good Lord.
They've declared the president and former presidents to be kings, but they've also declared themselves the hand of the king. This is the key part I just want to read. This is from page 110 from the dissent. This is from Ketanji Brown Jackson's dissent, Justice Jackson. With its adoption of a paradigm that sometimes exempts the president from the dictates of the law when the court says so, this court has effectively snatched from the legislature the authority to bind the president or not to Congress's mandates, and it has also thereby substantially augmented the power of both the office of the presidency and itself.
Nonsense. The founders were geniuses. They knew that people suck. They suck now, and they sucked when the country was founded, and they sucked every day since the founding. Separation of powers. Work together? Sure. Legislature, the Senate, the House, the Supreme Court, the justices were set for life for a reason. For a reason. Don't vote because you won't get invited to local dinners in D.C. They live in D.C. so long they become a part of that elite community. You vote how you feel is constitutional. It's insane. Separation of powers. I wish the Supreme Court had an enforcement mechanism that could have enforced Joe Biden not to give all those billions away in student loans, but maybe we'll be able to fix that.
What John Roberts said today is that he and his 5 fellow Leonard Leo appointees will decide when the president has erred. They will decide when he has stepped beyond the bounds of official acts. And
imagine that, a court deciding if someone potentially committed a crime. What a novel idea, you moron!
Only they can make that decision. They are the hand of the king. And the last thing I will say is that they repeatedly call for boldness and decisive action, that we need to see boldness and decisive action, and that only absolute immunity and presumed immunity can give a president such boldness.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And in fact, your hero, Barack Obama, if you get what you wanted, would be on trial for murdering an American citizen. Period. Doesn't even counting all the drone strikes and all the other things that were done. I mean, Clinton would have went to jail. Bush would have went to jail. Obama would have went to jail. Every president would have went to jail. You moron.
One wonders then how previous presidents have figured out how to implement the Trail of Tears and force indigenous people to march along with enslaved people across this country, mainly to their deaths. How President Lincoln essentially deleted the human property, $10 billion worth of human property from every state in rebellion by fiat.
She's complaining about the fact that Lincoln freed the slaves because they were worth money and the Southern slave owners weren't compensated monetarily. Are you out of your effing mind? That's what she just said. Lincoln went way beyond his powers by freeing the slaves. At least during the rebellion, and the 13th Amendment later made it permanent. And the Southern slaveholders weren't compensated. She's complaining about that. And not to be a jerk or a dick here, but look at her color. I can't believe anyone of any color, would complain about the fact that Southern slaveholders weren't compensated monetarily. These people are insane.
How presidents, let's talk about the presidents in the 20th century. Harry Truman unleashed a nuclear holocaust on two parts of Japan.
First of all, it wasn't a nuclear weapon, it was an atomic. And it was two cities. And that has to be probably the hardest decision any president, to my knowledge, has ever made besides Lincoln. Sending over 600,000 Americans to their death and over 1.5 million wounded, lost limbs, lost eyes. I mean, everything horrific. So he gets to be brought up on charges as well. We're going to put Harry Truman on trial posthumously, Lincoln on trial for not giving money. Can you imagine? It'd be reparations for descendants of slaveholders is what she's defending. These people are nuts.
He did that boldly and decisively without fear of prosecution. How then does a new president, a future president, need such boldness to come from the fiat of the Supreme Court?
Now, this is the breaking news, of course, when it first came out from the Supreme Court concerning immunity. They're protecting the office of the presidency from morons like the Democrats are currently. I still can't get over the fact that Joy Reid bitched about the fact that Southern slaveholders, black and white, weren't given compensation for their property, meaning slaves. You have to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. Let's listen.
Word that the Supreme Court has issued a ruling on the extent of presidential immunity from criminal prosecution for conduct alleged to involve official acts during the tenure of President Trump. This is the big one we've been waiting for. It's consequential. It's really interesting that the Supreme Court in 248 years of our history has never actually ruled on this. So it is big and sweeping, and I have our political panel looking over this right now.
And why haven't they ruled on this in all those years since the Supreme Court began? Because no morons like the current Democrats, no matter how partisan they were in the past, would never think of doing stupidity like taking a former president, put him on trial for basically nothing, for being president. That's how far we've fallen. It's insane. Of course, it's never happened before because we've never had mentally handicapped people running the Democrat Party. We've had some bad ones, but never this bad.
Andy McCarthy, Chief Justice John Roberts has the writing on this. He's got the pen. Is that significant?
It's very significant. This is the most important case of the term in terms of the long-term interests of the executive branch, in terms of the short-term interests of Donald Trump. And it looks like, at least within the bounds of clear executive authority, what Chief Justice Roberts is saying is that the president clearly has immunity from prosecution. So the question is going to be, again, I think Trey underscored this before, is what is an official act? There's going to be a lot of litigation about that, and what's close to the core of clear executive constitutional authority versus the outer ambit of it.
Brett?
Do we have Shannon? Is she going through the paperwork? Shannon, you there?
Yes. Yes, I am here, if you can hear me. Let me read you a little bit of what we have from the court. It does find this. Under our constitutional structure of separated powers, the nature of presidential power entitles a former president to absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for actions within his conclusive and preclusive constitutional authority. He is entitled to at least presumptive immunity from prosecution for all his official acts. There is no immunity for unofficial acts.
That's as simple as it gets. Usually these decisions are a lot of legalese. That's as simple as it gets. Separation of powers, not immunity for everything that a president does while he's president. Let's listen on.
That's the first blush we've got on this. It looks like a 6-3 split. We've got the dissent by Justice Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson join that. There is a kind of split decision on some of these. Somebody joins in one part, not in another part, but that's the overall holding of the court. So what it means now, we'll have to dig into this and see if they tell us now, how do you decide an official act versus an unofficial act? Because that's going to be critical, having now said the president does have absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for actions within his conclusive and preclusive constitutional authority.
The Supreme Court did tell the lower courts to now determine the charges on President Trump, what is official and what isn't. I don't know how that's going to fall, but what's going to happen, I think, this will delay all of Trump's trials, maybe even delay his so-called hearing to see how much time he's going to spend in jail or what penalty it is for that stupid-ass trial in New York. Maybe it will delay it. It has been delayed just today. I don't know. There's been a motion to suspend all the charges, but the judge would never do that. He's so far progressive, he can't stand it. Hates Trump's guts. His daughter's made millions off the Democrats. Anyway, we're going to have to see. So there it is, folks. I'm not going to play the rest of it because it's really kind of pointless. But as usual, the court ruled constitutionally to protect the office of the president to be separate but equal to the other two branches as per the founders. Supreme Court justices are set for life. Now they want to even change that. It's insane. But the court ruled the right way. To all you progressives or Democrats out there that might see this video, remember something. This ruling is not, I repeat, not about Donald Trump. Well, he was president when 3 of the justices were appointed. There's nothing to do with Trump. In fact, they've gone against Trump several times on some other things. They gave a fair evaluation of the separation of powers as per the Constitution. Did not give the president 100% immunity from all things. And these people are running around with their hair on fire because it's an election year. And Joe Biden just committed his biggest blunder of his political career during the so-called debate. Now they have that debate fiasco, which is bad enough for them. Now they want to replace Biden. They don't want Harris, but they want to replace Biden. And now they have this Supreme Court ruling. It's been a really, really bad week for progressive Democrats, and I'm glad. And more of these hits are going to be coming, I hope. So I wanted to give you the real scoop. What's the real deal? I still can't believe that Joy Reid defended Southern slaveholders, black and white, that they should have been compensated when their slaves were freed. I keep repeating that, but I can't get over it. I can't get over it. Maybe I'll make a separate video just on that. But anyway, folks, there it is. Supreme Court stepped up. First time ever on immunity for a president. And they did the right thing. Thank God. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.